Hi, Gryogre again on another Let's Play Solo. Uh, I'm doing another session 0, mostly because before I go down to the second level, I've decided to convert over to D&D 2024 from 2014. So rather than taking some time in the next video, I thought I'd talk about some of the characters and also where I'm going with the Let's Play Solo series. First of all, I'm still going to continue the exploration theme where we're laying down random tiles and exploring the dungeon on the fly. The other thing is, I was pretty happy with the first playtest where I think I've tuned up the exploration system fairly well. Uh, Probably continue to adjust the features appearing and such like that a little bit, but I think it's in a pretty good state. The one thing I am looking forward to playtesting is on implementing a quest system, and I'm going to be iterating over that. Uh, so, as far as I've already mentioned, we're changing to 2024. Um, this means I'm going to change, I'm not going to be using the equipped effects extension. Uh, I don't think it works that well in 2024. The party size, I'm going to continue to run this 5-man party, and I will likely go back and pick up that other 4-man party as well. House rules, pretty much the same thing. Still not playing with instant death, which is not likely to matter much at second level. Still doing the auto initiative every turn. Still doing the toll to dead, swapping the damage dice for hurt and unhurt. Basically a D12 for unhurt, a D8 for hurt. I've gone ahead and updated the characters, and I have the old ones and the new ones. Generally, the 2024 characters are stronger, more powerful. One of the big things that does that, particularly at low levels, is the Origin feat. Every character starts with a feat of an origin, and that pretty much makes these characters stronger. Now, generally, the characters are stronger offensively, which means they're still fragile at first level, and to a certain extent, even at second level. They simply dish out more damage, but they don't take any more damage in general. All right. There is one exception on more powerful, and we'll see that as we walk through. It's stats, because it's very difficult. The way they regularize their stats, which means you can get a +2 and a +1. You can't get +2s anymore in both stats, and that's we'll see that when we get up to some of the fighters. All right, so Austin is the first level, and then he leveled up to second, so they're not quite apples to apples. Um, but the stats, you can see I took the N up to 17 from a 16, which means I had to drop the 12 down. I'm trying to keep them similar, very similar to what they were before, rather than uber optimizing them. But the general feats in 2024 almost always have a +1 to a stat, sometimes up to 3, like your choice of 2 or 3 different stats. And unlike the 2014, it pays a lot of times to start with an odd stat at first level, because at fourth level you can take a feat that gives you +1 more and get the feat. So you get the 18 at fourth level, and you also get the benefits of a feat. And because all the general feats are like that, the fighters who have extra feats can literally not just get to 20 on just taking feats to give them stat bumps, instead of having to take the ability score +2 ability score increase. All right. So one of the other things of note is the small creatures can now move 30 feet instead of 25. And that's pretty much it. Because these guys are currently in the dungeon and I'll pick up from there, I've carried the wounds over. And because he went up a level, he's got 1 dice available. And that's pretty much for him. The only other thing I want to talk about is the his basic feat. He started as a magic initiate wizard. This is one of the origin feats. He's largely the same. In fact, this guy translated very well. One of the things you usually only get about 3 languages, and you used to be able to get about 4. So that's another thing that's changed. Um, One of the big power creep items is the magic initiate. And what that does is it gives you an extra spell slot, which you can cast for free, basically. So if I cast Witch Bolt, which is his first level magic initiate basically gives you 2 cantrips and a first level slot. That spell in the first level slot can be cast once per day without using your normal spell slots. So basically, at first level, like this guy, if he would have effectively 3 spell slots, the one would have to be whatever the magic initiate is. So it greatly expands your cantrips and also gives you basically a first level slot. Is the magic initiative, and there's one for the clerics, and there's also one for druids as well. All right, that's won't take too long on this. He is normally what if I had stayed back, I would have dropped the light cantrip on level up to switch it, but because I also picked up Chill Touch and Mind Sliver, I'm gonna switch out Chill Touch. One of the Chill Touch has been misnamed. It used to have like a 120. Now it's really touch. I'll swap that before we actually start playing. He doesn't need another touch spell. Let's take a look at Dent. Dent is still first level. He didn't level up, as we can see from our party sheet. Tordak and Dent are lagging behind a little bit. So this is a much more apples to apples. One of the things they did get the 17, and because he didn't 16 con 10, this guy was almost able to bring his stats up as well. Obviously, half orcs went away. He's now technically a full orc. I'll role play him as a half orc. One of the things I did have to change was his background. There's no Outlander background. If you want to do a fighter, if you want to do a background that gives you the physical stats, strength, dex, con, you only have 2 choices. It's farmer and soldier. Because Tordak was a soldier, I decided to keep them a little different. So I went farmer with him. There's not a lot that changed because they had the different background. He does have some different skills. It's pretty difficult. Unless you're human, it's hard to get more than 4 proficiencies and skills. Unless you take skilled or something. Overall, he's similar until we get to his feat. So he ended up with the defense is the fighter defense. That's his out of his class. They're just doing it because the rule set actually picks that up and automatically changes him to a 20. Before I had to go in there and manually do it, it did it automatically. But the way to get that, they got that to work was through the calling defense a feat. The other thing is tough. I got tough from farmer, and it's pretty much the same. Only it's 2 hit points per level. One of the things that did change he is going to be a little tougher because he already had a 16, and he effectively is having an 18 with two more. And the last thing, as a farmer, uh, they changed. Well, not as a farmer, as an orc, he gets relentless endurance, which is essentially the same, or when they go down to zero. But he also gets adrenaline rush, which means when he dashes and charges at a creature, you take the dash as a bonus action. You take it as a bonus action, so that's the orc bonus action. And when you do so, you gain some temporaries equal to your proficiency. One of the things I do like about the 2024 is they scale a lot of things off your proficiency. So as your proficiency, i.e. your level goes up, so do your other things. The last big buff for fighters are the weapon masteries. They start with 3. My experience from running my other party is they do all sorts of cool stuff, but because parties of up to about 3rd level tend to two-shot monsters, they don't really come into play very much. We'll see a little bit at 2nd level, but not so much. If you're focusing fire, generally those things they don't have a chance to shine much. All right. Other than that, let's take a look at the cleric. Cleric I had another problem with. As far as background, the acolyte background does exist in the new one, but it all buffs the mental stats, so int, wisdom, and charisma. And the problem with this guy as he was concepted is he had a 15 strength, 13 dex, and 14 con, and then a 16 wisdom. So he was trying to be a physical war cleric ish build, not specifically war cleric. It was a light, but he was ready to get up there in melee and fight, and he had his strength up so he could wear heavy armor. Something had to give a little bit. That's why I ended up with a farmer, because I couldn't get his. I tried acolyte, but I couldn't get his stats anywhere close to what he's got now, and I still, even after that, had to give up on some of his dexterity. Other than that, he's generally the same. Because he ended up with farmer, he ended up with tough as well. So that actually will make him have a few more hit points. He's also a magic initiate, just like the wizard. Basically, you get 1 free slot, and these are considered prepared spells too. So this means even though I didn't take Cure Wounds here, I can still cast it out of his normal slots. He's down 1 spell because I'm picking back up over from where they were when they leveled. And he's pretty similar. What else is in here? Divine Spark. Of course, he because he hit 2nd level, he's got his Channel Divinities. He's still a life cleric, but the life clerics are quite a bit different. Instead of giving a bonus on the cure spells, they didn't do that anymore. You also get a lot fewer domain spells. One of the things, for those who may not be familiar with 2024, is that the cure spells are twice as good. So the Healing Word does 2d4 plus 3, and Cure Wounds does 2d8 plus 3. This means they tend to overheal quite a bit at 1st level, and at 2nd level they're still going to be very strong. All right, let's keep moving. Hien was originally a spy, something which doesn't exist anymore. There's a wayfarer which is not exactly the same. Uh, but it's he wasn't a criminal, and so it's the only other rogue background that's not criminal, pretty much. He got lucky out of it though, and that's going to be interesting. One of the things 2024 does is it tends to give you a lot more spells. I didn't mention it with Alston, but because he's a gnome, they also gave him prestidigitation and another cantrip, which escapes me right now. Mending. All right, so Hien looks very similar. He's lucky. Lucky is similar to the 2014 Lucky. He's got luck points. It's basically the proficiency bonus again. So he's got two. And you get him back after a long rest. Essentially, you can spend the luck to get advantage or disadvantage on rolls for you or against you. He finally got the cunning action because he hit second level. And that's his traits are a little bit different because the L's are a little bit different. One of the things where he did get a little screwed on, the old elf weapon training is gone, which means he can't use a longbow anymore. So that was one of the biggest changes for him. He's actually having to use a short bow, and he's using a scimitar. For Nick is a very important weapon mastery, and we'll see that in action. And that's about it. So his weapons change. He's lucky. I expected overall, because he's having to go down a dice from the longbow to the short bow, he lost a little bit there. He's probably going to make it back up with the lucky. And that's Hien. All right, so Tordak, my other fighter, has not actually gone up to a second level yet, though obviously getting close. Very similar to before. Notice he picked up one. That's from being a dwarf. I was able to take the same background, and this is where you can see I lost out on stats. It was possible to get a +2, and you can't do that anymore, so he lost a point of con. However, the Dwarven, he gets the defense. This is once again out of the fighter. So he has a 20 armor class. And here's where we have some pretty straight power creep. He hits better. Savage attacker that's coming out of the soldier background. Trained to deal particularly damaging strikes. Once per turn, when you hit with a weapon, you can roll the damage twice. Use either roll. So basically, you get advantage on your damage dice. So that's pretty straight. That's a pretty straight upside there. Once again, they have all the gear, and I kept the notes, and efficiency is the same. He has slightly different weapon masteries. Topple for his battle axe, which knocks people over. Slow for the javelins. You can have up to 3. Fighters can have up to 3. Rogues can have up to 2. There's a savage. One of the things they did change is they give you 2-second wins even at first level. They quite a bit changed stone cunning. It's now tremor sense, basically for 10 minutes. And that's pretty much all I need to talk to you about in this session 0. next session, we're going to drop right into the second level of underneath the Quint Tower and get back to exploring.